Okay, now this was an album I wasn't sure whether I should include or not, but I might get a bit of hate for this, the opinion on this, but it's Sonata Arctica, Stones Grow Her Name. Now, I really like the older style sonata, like the speed metal stuff with the catchy choruses, and they've been going away from that general musical direction in the past couple of albums, which I think is a shame. They're allowed to do what they want, obviously. But this album, it's kind of a mixture of the old and new style. Now, it starts out with Only the Broken Hearts Make You Beautiful, which is more of a sort of 80s style song. You could imagine I think it's the post-chorus riff. That could be out of like a Bon Jovi 80s song. That's not criticism. I like that sort of stuff. Great choruses, good shredding guitar solos. Potentially the most controversial song on this album, Shitload of Money. Yes, that's what they called it. This song has a music video featuring strippers, and it's used to basically illustrate girls sacrificing their dignity for money. Although I think maybe a few people that don't get the irony just see strippers' boobies and latch onto it for that reason. But yeah, they've also gotten a bit of criticism for that. The song itself isn't actually that bad, it's just a few people could be turned off by the video and just the topic for it. Losing My Insanity is probably one of my favourites off the album, and it's not a Dio cover. Yes, he had a song called that too. Great riff, great chorus, great solos, but apparently it was made for some Finnish version of American Idol, Pop Idol, whatever the hell. Tony wrote it, but it's a re-recording of a song by another artist. It's weird. Sonata sounds more like Sonata when they're writing music for other people. I don't know. I still love this song though. Somewhere Close to You is sort of, they attempted like a groove metal, prog metal sort of song. It's got a very rhythmic riff on it, like you hear a lot of newer bands have. And you'd expect a sort of death vocal over it, but Tony does it obviously clean singing. It's a good mixture of love and death imagery in the lyrics. That's actually one of their better songs in the newer, less power metal direction, so if they keep it up like that, then maybe I won't hate it as much. Cinderblock is sort of their old power metal direction, but with banjos on it, which can never be a bad thing. Again, can't fault them on that. Now, there are a few songs on this album that aren't bad, but I just find myself skipping, and I Have a Right, The Day, and Alone in Heaven, they are kind of just mid-pace. They're alright, but Alone in Heaven has a good 80s style chorus actually, but if I've got like all Sonata's discography on shuffle on the iPod, I'll just be like, they come on. Nah, Wolf and Raven, I prefer that. Actually, the ending of this album, Wildfire Part 2 and 3, they managed to basically continue the story from Wildfire Part 1, which the first part of this song has lots of instruments ranging from acoustic and folk instrument to like fast metal section, and Part 3 is basically symphonic and atmospheric elements combined with just your straightforward power metal as well. It has a sort of spooky voiced environmental message at the end, which you don't hear from many metal bands. Overall, I think it's a nice continuation of the original story, and which was one of my favourite Sonata songs. Maybe play them all three in a row together and you'll have a very good listening experience. It says a lot about an album when my favourite track is a bonus track. I don't mean the European one, that's just like a sort of mid-pace ballad thing. 1, 2, 3 Fall is amazing, I think. I love the old Tricky Beans, if you've heard them demos. Blackout, which later became Flag in the Ground. Me and my friend basically decided you could imagine leprechauns dancing to this sort of stuff, so we came up with leprechaun metal. Hey, there's lots of other weird subgenres out there. The sort of Irish style riffs. And this basically continues that tradition, and if you liked Flag in the Ground or the old Tricky Beans demos, you'll love this song. Basically, why was this not on the main album and possibly even a single? I'll never know, but that's Tony's madness, genius, whatever for you. Overall, it's got really good production on this album, and while the new direction of Sonata might not be, in my opinion, as good as the old one, they've still got great musicianship, production, and quite a few memorable songs on it. So while the best bits still remind me of their older stuff, they've still done pretty good on this album, so don't troll the hell out of me, please. Okay, the final album is possibly the most anticipated, just for everybody as metal fans. That's Wintersun's Time. It's been in production for the best part of 8 years, I think, and it's part 1 of 2, which is going to come out in 2013, part 2. So, what's it like? Well, my first reaction when I heard it, yes, that's epic. Now, this album, it has a sort of Japanese melodic theme running through it. The intro song is most evident of that. Now that leads into Sons of Winter and Stars, which is 13-minute epic, and that combines just all of Jari's brilliant musical strengths. It has his clean singing, which is actually quite underrated, I think. He's come on even better than in his ensiferum days. Just the sheer scale of this, it could be from like an epic film or an RPG like Skyrim. Yes, nerds alert. Just the cinematic quality to this album is really amazing. He's really done a great job on the production. Listen to it if you haven't already, please. Sons of Winter and Stars starts off with some great riffs, sort of melodic death metal, traditional screamed vocals. Then it opens up into, near the end, a ensiferum type chorus. You know, it could be off the Iron album. This actually whole album is a lot closer to that kind of music than the previous album, which was more just straight up melodeath with fewer folk elements. This definitely has more folk metal influence along like Japanese and sort of his traditional Finnish, European, Scandinavian, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Land of Snow and Sorrow could easily be off of an album like Iron. That's an 8-minute epic as well, but that's actually one of the shorter songs on this album. Only 5 songs, but 40 minutes. So yes, epic's really an overused word in metal, but this just pretty much has to be used to sum up this album. If there's one criticism I could make, it would be that keyboards are overly dominant in the mix. The guitars take a bit of a back foot on this album. Jari's such a talented guitarist that you'd basically be happy if he was shredding all the time. I mean, if he doesn't want to do that anymore, I'd be happy to do that for him. Okay, maybe not, but yeah, the production of this album kind of drowns out the guitars a wee bit, but I think actually says a lot about Jari's maturity as a composer. He allows the guitars to take a back seat, maybe, just for the overall feel of the music, the symphonic grand scale of things. And again, it's not really a criticism so much as I'm a small-minded shred metal fan and that's what I like. But again, if you just take the album for what it is, which is a grand epic masterpiece pretty much, you cannot fault it. And as it's only part 1 of 2, we've yet to hear all of this album, so hopefully part 2 lives up to and surpasses this album, because if it does, it could be one of the great metal works of all time. Well done, Jari. Okay, so that was 5 of my favourite albums from 2012, but what is there to look forward to in 2013? Well, possibility of the new Sabbath album. There's a new Halloween album, I think. Time 2, of course, and maybe even Detox, Dr. Dre. I like rap, bite me if you're a close-minded metal fan. So yeah, it's looking pretty good for next year. Who knows what I'll be reviewing this time next year, but overall very good 2012. And if you haven't checked out any of these albums, or some of them, but you haven't checked out all of them, I recommend you do.